Hi everyone. Okay, so we are going to do activity 8.26 and we will need 8.34, the nested if Excel sheet. And we will start with the mark book. And we are going to use a lookup table for the grades, and then we're going to use a lookup function so that we get the same results as we did using an if statement. So all of this is just so much typing and we don't want to do that. So we can create, I'm just going to loosely make one, but we can make a mark. So we're going to create a lookup table. So between 0 and 40 and 80. So the lookup goes to up to the lowest, so it's going to look backwards. So the 93 is higher than the 80, so the closest one there will be a distinction, and this everything more than 40 is pass, and then everything between 0 and 40 is fail. So I tried to read it like between 0 and 40 is a fail, between 40 and 80 is pass, and then everything between 80 and, so you can imagine having 100 there, so between 80 and 100 is a distinction, but we don't put in that over there. So I'll just say the result over here, and we are going to replace all of these nested if functions with lookup functions. So we can just say equals, and if you forget what should go inside of a lookup, just type the function, and then we're looking for the lookup value. Okay, so the value that we're looking for is this mark that this student has over here. Then we have to say, where should we look for the value? So it's over here. The 73 is between 40 and 80. So if it's there, what should the result be? So here is our results. So 73 is between these two. So it's going to say it's going to be a pass. So if I type enter in now, okay, so it would have been for that mark, but this makes sense. So if I just replicate, if I replicate this, we're going to have that problem that it's also going to shift down this whole formula over here. So what we can do is we can put the $ in front of the column and the rows, or we can actually just make a cell reference for each of them. So I just want to show you that this is going to work. Okay, so it's there. So now if I follow through, then we can see it makes sense. So all of this is a pass, that's a distinction, it's a fail, so this is working. But instead of putting all those $ in there, remember you want to save time during an exam. So we just call this say reference mark, and then we call this reference result. Now instead of having to put in all of those $ in there, we can just say go look up in our reference mark and go look up in our reference result. Oops. And now it should replicate all of that, and this looks much better to look at in comparison with those $ over there. So this is how we would answer that first part over there. So using the same file, switch to the ticket sales worksheet, which shows ticket sales for 3 different price categories. So this is the ticket price. So we have a category for adult, child, and student, and this is how much that costs. So depending on this, we'll know what the price is and how many there are. So they say replicate the function, change the lookup function for the price to a nested if function. So right now we have a lookup to find our value over here, and we need to change this into a nested if. So let's start with the first one over here. So the price depends on what this is called over here. So we're going to say if B2 is equal to an adult, then we know the value is going to be this price over there. If it's not an adult, now we can say what the value will be if it's false. So it's either going to be the child or the student. So we can put in the if, we're going to test, is this value a child this time? So if this category for B2 is equal to a child, then our value is going to be, the price is going to be $12.50. If it's not a child or it's not an adult, so the only option we have is that we need this as the price, so it means it's going to be a student. So I hope that makes sense how I use that, and it's true for now. But the thing is, we also want to make sure that we can replicate this all the way down, because there's going to be a problem because our references over here are not absolute references, so they're relative referencing. So we can do that by either saying, calling this adult price, or you can put in the dollar signs in there, and that would also help. But I prefer renaming these child price, and this is student price. You want someone to look at your formulas and make sense of what you have typed in there. So this is fine, and then this is just the adult category. This is the child category, and this is the student. We have not used that, so I don't think we need to add that in there. So in our formula, if this B2 is equal to this category, then the value is going to be the adult price. If B2, which is the one that we have here, is equal to A16, we have renamed it as the child category, then that value is going to be the price of the child. If it's not a child, and if it's not an adult, then we're going to use the student price. So if we replicate that downwards, we should get the correct values over here. Okay, so, and then they say replicate the function down the column. Okay, so as part of that, we have to have absolute references in there. So if you use the dollar sign to make the absolute reference there, then that would be more than correct. But I prefer to have it neat, having the name, so that someone who doesn't know what's going on can kind of figure out what is happening. Okay, enjoy the rest of your day.